Anderson Cooper, whose most famous interview was with a porn actress, I want you to listen to how he sets up a question to Tammy Duckworth. Tammy Duckworth is a war hero, and she is a political disaster. Absolute disaster. And she's on CNN today. Cut one, go.
Senator Duckworth, looking at a picture of Kevin McCarthy down at Mar-a-Lago today, gripping and grinning with the man who promoted the attack on the Capitol, praised the attackers even after the fact. What does that meeting, that picture, say to you?
Let's stop right there. Anderson Cooper, you are a liar. You are a serial liar. You are inciting people with your lies. You're free to come on this program. I think we've invited him before, have we not, Mr. Producer? You're welcome to come on this program. But it is outrageous how you conduct yourself. Truly outrageous what you say and what you promote as fact. No, the President of the United States didn't promote the attack on the Capitol. He didn't praise the attackers after the fact. And now anybody who meets, you see, with Donald Trump, now they are tainted. And God forbid if Republican leaders meet with Donald Trump. You see what's going on here. The radical kook, egomaniacal, narcissistic, wealthy left wants to dictate who the Republicans can meet with, what they can say on the internet, who they're going to nominate in the next election. Who the hell is Anderson Cooper? Who the hell is this jackass? And you're going to ask Tammy Duckworth, who's one of the most politically brazen leftists that I've ever heard? Gee, I wonder what she's going to say. Go.
It tells me that he stands with someone who basically incited insurrection as opposed to standing with our Constitution. He has.
So Kevin McCarthy has now violated his oath of office. You see, ladies and gentlemen, we're really rounding up as many people as we can now, politically, figuratively speaking. We're really rounding them up now, aren't we, ladies and gentlemen? Now Kevin McCarthy is standing with somebody who incited an insurrection. So says Tammy Duckworth, so it must be true. Go ahead.
Yeah, essentially violated his oath of office that he took when he was sworn in. And that is to protect and defend the Constitution. Instead, he's now standing with the enemy of the Constitution.
No, you're standing with the enemy of the Constitution, your whole damn party. When you want to bastardize the court system, starting with the Supreme Court, when you want to fix the electoral process with H.R. 1, when you don't say a damn word with all these thousands of senior citizens dying in these blue states because of decisions like that of Governor Cuomo, you say nothing. With the dumbest man who was ever in the Senate, now the dumbest man who was ever vice president, now the dumbest man who was ever president, signing one executive order after another, putting hard-working men and women out of work. And what do you say, Duckworth? You say nothing. You attack the former president of the United States. No, he did not incite an insurrection. Not by any definition did he incite an insurrection. And yet Anderson Cooper and these clowns in the Democrat Party will continue to propagate this view. Because this has to be the view going forward. They have to kill the guy off so he has no political clout, and anybody who touches him, worse than McCarthyism. This is the worst it's ever been in this country, and these two idiots are perpetuating it. They're the ones who are inciting. They're the ones. Now let's continue with Anna Navarro on The View today. This is a fool. This is a punk. This is a former Republican moron. And they know how to get on TV. They know how to get paid. They know how to create clips. They're so excited about their notoriety. They're infamous. They're infantile. They're simpletons. Cut two, go.
This is a time when they had a chance to get rid of the cross that they've been bearing with Donald Trump, who has divided the party and opened it up for all sorts of nut jobs to come into the party. Instead, what we see is Kevin McCarthy, who has been all over the place, going down, making a pilgrimage to, I guess, what's going to become now the Republican Mecca. I call it Mar-a-Lago. And by the way, if we can put the picture back up, can we just talk about the interior of Mar-a-Lago?
What are you, a designer? What? You Anna Navarro, can we talk about the interior of Mar-a-Lago? Really?
I mean, it's like what? Bordello, vintage Bordello look? And so...
How would you know it's a vintage Bordello look? How would she know that, Mr. Producer? She says it's a vintage bordello look. That means she knows what all kinds of bordellos look like. A vintage bordello look. You idiot. Go ahead.
And so, he went down there to make nice with Donald Trump, because Donald Trump is threatening to open up a third party of Republicans.
Donald Trump said he's not going to start a third party. So why are you lying through your teeth? Why don't you get challenged, you moron? Go ahead.
Don't continue kissing his ring, among other body parts.
This is what passes for network news or network television today. This is what passes for network television. Now, Paul Farhi of the Washington Post, he's not going to cover this. The New York Times isn't going to cover this. They don't police themselves. They think this is great. You can call him Hitler. You can talk about McCarthy kissing body parts. It's all cool. It's all great. It's all fine. I mean, this woman is dense as hell. She's a vile person. And she shouldn't even be on airport radar or sonograms as far as I'm concerned. She has nothing to add. Go ahead.
I think it's pathetic. I think I think it's white slavery, what I just witnessed. Kevin
White
McCarthy.
slavery. So you can say anything about Caucasians, anything about white. It's white slavery. Now, of course, a fool like this should be pulled off TV. If we had serious editors, serious producers, serious executives, they'd say, who is this idiot rambling on like a buffoon, like a mental patient? We can't have that on our network. No, it's fine. Perfectly fine. Now, Donald Trump isn't even president anymore. He hasn't been president for almost 2 weeks, I guess. But they can't stop, because what are they going to do, talk about Biden? And they're certainly not going to point out that Biden has violated the Constitution, 3 dozen times so far? No. She's too stupid to be able to have a rational, substantive conversation about any of that. So let's just attack, because that's what we like on The View, which is a crap show. A crap show. Now we have Representative Pramila Jayapal on MSNBC today. Hat tip, Breitbart, cut 4, and then you have this Katy Tur, another nut job. Go ahead.
I want to start there with the threats to personal safety. AOC has raised this in connection to some of her Republican colleagues. We just had Cori Bush tweet about how she asked Nancy
Cori
Pelosi.
Bush, another nut job out of St. Louis. That a girl, Katie. You keep quoting the sickest of the sick, hardcore Marxist leftists. You keep promoting them. Go ahead.
Has been granted a move of offices because of a confrontation that she had with Marjorie Taylor Greene in the hall. She said Greene and her staff berated her in the hallway.
And we know she's telling the truth. How? Katie, did you do any investigation? No, you didn't do anything. You don't care. This is your narrative, because you're a quack. Go ahead.
Her and others on social media. She's moving out of fears for her own safety. How do you feel?
How do we know that's true? Seriously, Mr. I have no idea if that's true. And why would you ask Jayapal? She wasn't there. She's not a witness to anything. She's another radical nut job. Go ahead.
I think it's very real. I think we all feel this tension of our colleagues who are continuing to not admit that Joe Biden won the election. Isn't
that funny? Coming out of her mouth. 2016, Russia collusion, voted for impeachment, wanted a coup, was excited about a criminal investigation against Trump, trying to trace Trump down in the private life that he has at Mar-a-Lago and ruin him there. Oh, she's so worried. How dare you raise issues, legitimate, substantive, constitutional issues? How dare you do, and you better not. And we're going to have HR 1 in front of you, and you better vote for it, because if you don't vote for it and don't make America, California, and their voting system a one-party state, then you're obviously a racist, you're suppressing the vote, you don't believe in the legitimate outcomes of the vote, all kinds of stuff. Right, Jayapal? Is that correct? Do I have it right? I think I do. We don't need lectures from left-wing kook Democrats about accepting the legitimacy of Joe Biden when they still don't accept the legitimacy of Donald Trump after they didn't accept the legitimacy of George W. Bush. No, we don't need lectures from the kooks on the left about anything, as a matter of fact. And I don't know this Marjorie Taylor Greene from anybody else. They tell me she's QAnon. I don't even know what that means. But since when do members of Congress start piling on and say, you know what, you don't get to stay here? They couldn't even gather a vote to condemn Omar, who made the most outrageous and repetitively made the most outrageous Jew-hating, inciting statements that I could ever remember. They don't condemn Tlaib for her Jew-hating statements, do they? So why don't they ask to have Tlaib removed or Omar removed? Go ahead.
To engage with white nationalist extremist groups that were part of the insurrection on the Capitol are continuing.
Who did that? Who engaged with them? Who engaged with them, Mr. Producer? Do they know who engaged? Are there members of Congress who engaged with them? I've heard this swirling around. I've heard these allegations made. Well, who engaged with the white supremacist groups? Name names and name the groups. Name names and name the groups. And by the way, who engaged with Black Lives Matter and Antifa? I want to know that too. Violence is to be rejected. Whether it's white supremacists and neo-Nazis or leftist Marxists and radicals. It's all to be rejected. Did Jayapal reject it all? Of course not. Did Cori Bush, who's been in Congress about 14 seconds, did she reject them all? Of course not. Why not? I don't want to hear from this anymore, this Pramila Jayapal. Then there's Ilhan Omar. Then there's Mike Quigley, the Quig. All getting voices on CNN and all getting voices on MSNBC and, yes, to push the narrative and so forth. I mean, they want to take out Josh Hawley and Ted Cruz. What, are they white supremacists too? No. They incited an insurrection. Oh! And how do we know Jayapal didn't incite the insurrection? How do we know Omar didn't incite the insurrection? How do we know Tlaib didn't incite the insurrection? How do we know that Tammy Duckworth didn't incite the insurrection, or Anna Navarro, or Anderson Cooper, or Katy Tur? How do we know these nut jobs weren't listening and watching them? And how do we know they didn't push them over the edge? Isn't that interesting that nobody wants to talk about it but me? I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.